welcome back. You are listening to Become a Bat. I'm your host, Thomas Kowajczyk.
And I'm Mike.
In this episode, we will be going over Detective Comics number 36, 37, 38. This is a pretty significant batch of comics, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, with issue number 36, we're going to get Professor Hugo Strange.
The return of Professor Dr. Hugo Strange.
Yeah, it's taken all our
Whatever he is.
not to say Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He came first, but
Yeah.
we'll get him. And then 37 is, okay, I wouldn't say that one's a significant issue, but it's
It
a
may not
fun.
be significant in like story ways, but it's significant. It still develops the illustrations of Batman.
Yeah.
Like the way he's drawn.
Yeah.
And once we hit the last issue here, it's like exactly the Batman that everybody envisions. Like he's got every element of the costume in place, finally.
Yeah. And most importantly, issue 38 has
Yeah.
Robin, the boy wonder.
Robin, which isn't Robin. Obviously, he's based off of Robin Hood to some degree, but isn't he also named after Jerry Robinson?
I should have done my research
I know
there.
Jerry Robinson suggested the name Robin, and I know he's also a big fan of Robin Hood, and he brought those elements together. So I wouldn't be surprised if he also.
Yeah, I can see that. We're going to do some research, and we'll bring that up sometime next episode or in the middle of this one. Who knows? So, Detective Comics number 36, Professor Hugo Strange. This is the February 1940 issue. Art by Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson. Written by Bill Finger. We start with Batman patrolling the streets of Manhattan when he witnesses a drive-by shooting. Batman swoops down to check on the victim, and before he dies, he says, "Fog, fog, strange, fog, strange," and he dies. Batman checks his pockets for a clue, and he finds a notebook, but before he can sit and read it, the police come by and they chase him off. So later, Bruce Wayne, he's sitting at home and he's wondering what the strange fog could have meant. Bruce then, he realizes that the guy was probably talking about a man, specifically Professor Hugo Strange. Apparently, Hugo Strange is known to be the most dangerous man in the world.
Can I interject here?
Yes.
Batman's the most dangerous man in the world, not Hugo Strange. I know he's a good guy and everything, but he's definitely more dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Batman a man or a monster?
I don't know. Depends who you ask.
As far as people who don't dress up, maybe it is
The
Hugo
most
Strange.
dangerous, uncostumed man in the world.
He's a scientist, a philosopher, and a criminal genius.
Mm-hmm.
Which Bruce Wayne he's a scientist. I don't know if you'd consider him a philosopher. He's well read.
Really philosophical. Otherwise, he wouldn't fight crime and talk about how criminals are superstitious and cowardly and all that.
Bruce, he looks through the notebook and he finds this list of places. And then he realizes that the dead man was FBI.
Mm-hmm.
So Bruce decides he needs to first clear Batman's reputation as a murderer before he can go in give the book back to the FBI. He needs to figure out the mystery of the fog. Meanwhile, Dr. Strange, he's at his home and he's being told by one of his goons that they shot the FBI agent and then Batman came by. And Strange, he's pissed off that they didn't shoot Batman while they were at it.
I like what you wrote there.
Oh, yeah.
His foggy plan.
He decides to carry out his foggy plan. So the next night, the entire city is blanketed in this hot, thick fog. The fog works as a distraction. Police officers, they're talking about how like they're useless if any criminals do crimes because they can't see shit. Not the words they use, but might as well then.
Yeah, that's what they mean.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happens over the next few nights. Dr. Strange's men just go around town just robbing the place. So one night, a moving van filled with robbers pulls up next to this place called Sterling Silver Company. And there's a night watchman out like there patrolling. And one of the goons come in and hold him up. And then they make him open the door for him. And then they go inside. And then one of the guys is just keeping an eye on the watchman while the rest of them go in and start stealing up stuff. But it turns out the watchman was actually the Batman. He takes off the night watchman outfit and then he swoops in and beats up he beats up the guard and then the rest of the burglars. And then he shoots a gun in the air and it gets the cops' attention.
Can I just say, I've never thought about it before, but until recently when we were rereading these, but in the Frank Miller Batman stuff, like in The Dark Knight Returns, he dresses up like this bag lady, like this homeless lady. And I always thought that was really weird. But he constantly dresses up like other people in these old books. Like he's a master of disguise and a detective and a crime fighter vigilante.
Which I like how it like when he first starts this off, he doesn't even do disguises. He's just going around doing stuff as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. So Strange, he's reading about Batman foiling his plans in the newspaper, and he realizes Batman needs to be trapped. He needs to trap Batman. So Batman's out patrolling the next night, and he walks into this place called Wolf Bros Fur Company warehouse. Well, the warehouse for the Wolf Bros company. So Batman walks in, and the lights turn on, and he finds himself surrounded by all sorts of men. He jumps up in the air, he grabs a rope, swings onto a balcony, he grabs his beam, and then he uses the force to kick a bunch of the goons down. He's fighting, he's kicking their asses, and then one of them whacks him in the back of the head with a blackjack, knocking him out. This seems to be the only way, outside of getting shot a couple times. Batman gets hit in the head a lot.
He's always getting hit in the head from behind.
Yeah, you figure, sometimes with guns, you figure they could have just hit him. But
that happens in the next issue, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to get like a steel plate back there.
Yeah. Which I loved how in Batman vs. Superman, in the big warehouse fight scene near the end, one of them straight up unloads a clip in Batman's head, and it just does nothing. It's beautiful. They tie up Batman, and they drive him over to Hugo Strange's house, and Batman wakes up, and he's in Strange's presence. Strange tells Batman that he only kept them alive in order to torture him. So he ties Batman's wrists up to this post, and he starts whipping him. Which, that's probably definitely got something going on there.
Yeah. Strange has this weird S&M.
Yeah, that's what he went for immediately. That was his first plan.
He also loves putting people in traps.
So Batman, he snaps the ropes, and then he throws his vial of sleeping gas, and doesn't get Strange because he covers his face up with a handkerchief. But Batman then tackles Dr. Strange. Now, normally the way that we see this play out is Batman chokes the guy out, and it's done.
Or he uses choking gas.
He uses choking gas.
This is the first gas he's used that's not choking.
He figured he could have done that first, but the effects were the same. Regardless, he tackles Dr. Strange, but Dr. Strange, he's no slouch.
No.
He flips over and he starts choking Batman out.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah, like he's got really beefy arms.
He does. They did a really good job showing that he works out, definitely.
He's a threat. I think so far, out of all the non-vampire people, this is probably the strongest guy he's fought.
It seems like in this issue specifically, since this is his third time coming back? Or his second time coming back after his first appearance. They're really trying to make him out almost to be like Batman's main antagonist.
Yeah.
Because he's smart, and now he's buff, so he's strong.
I was thinking that basically he's more or less Batman, Lex Luthor, is Dr. Savannah.
Yeah.
Like he's the mad scientist type character.
He's definitely a mad scientist, that's for sure.
But we're going to find out it's partially a sham. Like he's smart, but he's not that smart.
That's why mad scientist works.
Yeah.
Because he's not a genius. He's just like a crazy guy with muscles and scientific knowledge.
So anyways, Batman's getting choked out, but Batman's still Batman. He's still stronger than this guy. So he uses a quote unquote jujitsu trick to flip Strange over, and then he starts beating the hell out of him. He ties Strange up, and then he goes in the lab, and he finds this giant contraption, this giant machine. And before he can do anything about it, he sees a man tied up to a chair. Batman already knows who this is. His name is Henry Jenkins. He's an electrical engineer who's gone missing. Jenkins figured out before all this that hot lightning causes condensed steam to collect in the air, which resembles fog. Strange had forced Jenkins to make this machine and produce the concentrated lightning. So Batman and Jenkins, they turn off the machine, and the fog lifts on the town. Word has it that Batman has ended the fog, which this improves his reputation with the city and the police. Hugo Strange gets sent away to prison, and he vows to break out and get his revenge on Batman. The end.
You know, why, if it's a hot lightning machine that just happens to generate fog as a side effect, then how come every time there's fog, there's not lightning before the fog?
Maybe because that's the concentrated part. Maybe they found a spot outside the city
to shoot the lightning.
Yeah. And maybe once also the fog is all there, nobody sees the lightning.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's a self-sustaining fog.
I feel like that's some kind of plot hole. Because wouldn't you hear the lightning?
Maybe maybe the lightning is produced within the machine,
That's possible too. Actually. Yeah.
So like nobody outside would know about it, and just all the steam condenses outside surrounding it. So the warehouse or place is like basically the epicenter of it all.
Science.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I did. I just made a couple little notes. So the first thing I noticed is that Batman's sharp fingertips are back again. So he's only had sharp fingertips in 3 issues so far, but I always think it's like a cool little touch. And there's one panel where he's like touching his face or something and his fingertips are sharp, but his hands are colored like skin color. So it looks really odd. It's also the first one where the splash page says Batman and not the Batman.
Oh, yeah.
And then I like the fact that he withholds murder evidence from the police and the FBI.
Yeah. He's got to get it
to clear his name.
They're clearly incompetent.
Yeah.
In real life and outside.
And I also like the warehouse fights in this. They reminded me of Batman v Superman, which is funny to say because this is like the first year of Batman comics, and he's been in so many movies, but we didn't get a warehouse fight really until Batman v Superman, like a brawling warehouse fight.
Yeah, not a big brawl. I know we have the big dock scene in Batman Begins, but that one's not so much a fight as him just taking goons out one by one.
From the shadows.
Yeah.
It makes me appreciate Ben Affleck as Batman even more because he embodies this like original Batman.
Yeah.
Because he's such a brawler. And obviously this Batman's not so huge and beefy, but he's still like a major fist fighter. And then, he takes down a ton of criminals in those warehouses. It says he takes down 6 in the first warehouse and 12 in the second. That's a lot of people to take down in a short amount of time.
Yeah. I shortened fight in the synopsis, but there's a lot of people in there. Like it's a good, like what, 1 or 2 pages fight or something like that.
He just busts in and starts throwing punches like really fast.
Yeah.
Knocking them all out. It's really cool.
Hugo Strange, he's the second Batman villain to survive like more than 1 issue. And I think he's a lot more interesting than the Mad Monk, the Mad Monk was cool, but on the surface level.
Yeah, he had potential to be cool, but obviously they went and killed him right away.
Once Batman just got in there and he just shot him, that was it.
Yeah.
Hugo Strange fought back. And like I said earlier, that Strange, he's like a mad scientist in the same vein as Lex Luthor or Dr. Sivana, but in a fight, I can see him, like in a fist fight, I can see him kicking both their asses easy.
Yeah. I think he's crazier than Dr. Sivana and less smart than Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I think he's the least smart of all 3 of those.
But he would probably brag that he's the smartest.
Yeah, he considers himself a professor.
Yeah.
But
what though?
Crime,
traps, torture, murder,
all those. Yes. But he doesn't remind me of Thomas Edison or Elon Musk. He reminds me of them in the way that they basically take credit for other smarter people's inventions. Like Edison was pretty smart himself, but he did mostly just steal other people's work. And Elon Musk is a dumbass, and that's all he does.
I like both of them, but they both did take credit for a lot of other people's work.
All right. And this time we both have the same favorite panel.
Yeah, this is the first time. It's almost happened 3 times so far, but this is the first time where we actually both did choose the same panel. Which is such a good panel, too.
Which is?
I'll read it first and then I'll describe it. So the box at the top says, "But with the power of a madman, the professor succeeds at securing a stranglehold on the Batman's throat." And then you've got this nice close-up image of I was about to call him Dr. Strange again, of Professor Strange just kneeling down over the top of Batman, just choking the shit out of him. And he looks so buff. Like, he has his sleeves rolled up and everything, and his muscles are bulging, and Batman is definitely struggling. And it looks like there's lines coming away from his face, like sounds while he's being choked out. And he's trying desperately to get those arms away from his neck.
Yeah, and I just love that I'll choke every living breath out of your body. Like, at this point, he's just lost. He's lost being smart and I'm just going to choke the fuck out of you.
That's what I like about Professor Hugo Strange, though. He goes from being like, "Oh, yes, I'm this smart professor," to just rolling up his sleeves. He's like, "I'm going to choke this shit out of you."
Yeah.
He embodies both, like, the physical and the mental elements of villains, which is great.
That does it for issue number 36. When we get back, we're going to be on issue number 37 of Detective Comics.
That's right.
Right after the break.
are back. Yes, we are back. And we're back with Detective Comics number 37, The Screaming House. That's a cool title. Reminds me of like 1940s, 1950s black and white horror movies.
Yeah,
Like Vincent Price ones.
I was thinking, who's the guy who makes all the
Roger Corman?
Corman?
Yeah.
It sounds like a Corman
It
film.
definitely sounds like a Roger Corman movie. This is the March 1940 issue with art by Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson. I'm guessing at this point it's mostly Jerry Robinson because the art doesn't even resemble like the art from the first couple
Yeah,
issues.
it's improved a lot.
Yeah, and especially when you look at like Bob Kane's artwork in the 80s, like when those movies came out, it still looks like the old artwork.
Yeah.
So, and it's written by Bill Finger. So not want to get too far off topic here. But yeah, we were going to describe the covers.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to describe this cover. This will be the first one that we did. Well, I guess it's not the first. We described the Mad Monk cover. But
Yeah.
we're going to start trying to describe the covers here. So this is a nice cover. It's got a nice blue, like a bar on top. And then the blue continues down into the actual like image of the cover. And we've got Batman on a dock scoring off against two goons. One of them is charging at him with a knife from the foreground. And the other one he's got over his shoulder like he's just about to like slam this guy onto the ground. And then a little detail I noticed too is that while he's holding this guy above his head, about to slam this guy onto the ground, he's also got this guy's wrist in a wrist lock and he's twisting it and the gun is falling out of his hand towards the ground. So he's multitasking here.
Yeah, it's a very complex maneuver.
Yeah, it's a really good cover because you can tell that there's an action that's about to happen. Like this guy with the knife is going to run into him. He's snapping the gun out of this guy's wrist and then he's going to chuck this guy right at the other guy. Definitely a good cover. It's very moody too. Like it takes place at night. It's on shipyard. Like the moon is full. There's fog in the
There's a nice fade between the blue in the background going down towards the sea.
The sea. Yeah, it's a very cool cover. And Batman's drawn on it very well. All right. So let's get going. Batman is driving down a lonely road. He realizes that he's lost. So when he sees a house in the distance, he decides to pull over and ask for directions, which is very strange to me. As soon as he stops the car, he hears a scream like a wild beast in pain coming from the house. Batman races to the house to get to the bottom of it. He cautiously opens the front door and sneaks in. There's an eerie light emanating from the drawing room and he overhears multiple voices. There are 3 men in suits, presumably gangsters, surrounding another man who's tied to a chair, his shirt ripped open. One of the men is interrogating him to find out who he sold sensitive information to. He's threatening the hostage, Joey, with the hot fireplace poker. Batman interrupts the interrogation with a witty one-liner and the gangsters turn their attention to him. One of the men pulls a gun on him and Batman kicks him in the face. The kick is so powerful that the man careens backwards, headbutting the other man and dropping his gun. Batman throws a flurry of punches and takes out the last gangster before he unties Joey the hostage. As Batman is tying up the criminals and making small talk with Joey the hostage, he comes up behind him and pistol whips him in the head, then proceeds to shoot and kill all 3 tied-up gangsters in cold blood.
There's that pistol whip in the back of Batman's head.
Yeah. I was shocked when he killed those guys in cold blood.
Yeah.
I thought he was a true hostage, not a murderer, but it's definitely not the first time he's killed someone. Batman wakes up on the ground next to 3 bloody corpses. He even makes a comment about the blood coming out of them, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds to rationalize why Joey killed them. Later at the home of Bruce Wayne, he remembers hearing the gangsters mention the name Turg. So he looks up the name in a directory and decides to visit every Turg in the city.
So real quick,
like Terminator 2.
This is the funniest issue just because of the name Turg.
Yeah.
I could not take this entire sequence seriously. He's out looking for Turks.
And then I'll wait till we get to the end. After taking out 2 out of the 3 Turgs and deeming them respectable, he heads to the grocery store to investigate the 3rd Turg. Bruce determines that the man in question is sketchy and doesn't seem to be the grocery business type, whatever that means. So he goes back to the grocery store at night and knocks out the cashier, making his way into the back room and up the stairs where he finds Joey, Turg, and 2 other men having a shady meeting. He flips off the light switch and puts on some kind of self-made night vision goggles and then proceeds to beat the snot out of all of them. The lights come back on and the gangsters accuse Joey of leading Batman to them. They shank him and leave him there to bleed out.
So I do really like the night vision.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the first time we see like Batman put on any night vision goggles or anything.
Yeah.
I wonder, they didn't really think of to do the white eyes.
But he already has white eyes. They just didn't think about the fact that his white eyes could be contacts or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably that wasn't the thing then. But yeah, I like that. It actually again.
We had a dark fight sequence.
And it made me, in my head at least, it excused Batman wearing goggles in Justice League. Because I'm not a fan of Batman putting anything over his eyes. He's already supposed to have things over his eyes. They're called starlight lenses.
I liked his Justice League suit in that end sequence. It's in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like that. It very much reminded me of, I think they were going for making him look like Owlman.
I was going to say Owlman or Night Owl. Yeah.
Yeah, Night Owl. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
I think Owlman wears goggles too, though. Could be wrong about that. After the men leave, Batman reveals that he is still in the room. He just stood there and let that guy get shanked. He makes his way over to Joey, who then reveals that he is a U.S. agent and that the gangsters are in fact spies who are trying to blow up a ship and blame it on the U.S. to incite a war. As he dies, he tells Batman a phone number that belongs to the Head. I used air quotes there.
Yeah.
You guys can't see, but Batman heads to a downtown pier where the ship is docked and confronts the spies. But they anticipated his arrival and drop a sack of grain on him, knocking him out. They empty the sack, put Batman inside, and throw him into the river.
Some wasted grain.
Right?
Especially with the war about to break out and rationing.
They don't care. They're criminals.
Man.
The cold water shocks his system and wakes him up. He quickly pulls out a sharp knife from his belt and cuts his way out. He swims his way out of the lake and wastes no time retaliating against the spies, kicking them off the dock and into the dark water.
Just some watertight bag.
Suddenly, the ship starts up and takes off from the dock, heading straight for an ocean liner. Batman runs after it and jumps from the dock onto the deck of the ship. He has mere moments to steer the ship out of the way of the liner before it collides and explodes. Batman is successful. He then decides to look up the phone number that the dying Joey gave him. The phone number belongs to an eminent socialite. Batman makes a social call to his house and is greeted by a butler with a gun. He knocks out the butler and confronts Elias, the Head. Turg isn't wearing his disguise now. There's no more hiding who he is. Batman takes a sword from the wall, and throws it at Batman. Batman pulls open a door to shield his body from the blade, which then impales the door. Turg tries to run. Batman throws some punches. Turg falls backwards onto the door, impaled by his own sword.
That was such a great death sequence.
Looks like the sword stabbed him in the neck, but says he was impaled. Batman remarks that he's better off dead so that he can't kill thousands of others. The end.
I love that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Golden Age Batman just does not fuck around.
No, and it's funny because the tone from issue to issue, it'll get a little less dark and then it gets more dark and a little less dark, and then all of a sudden he kills 4 people.
As we'll see in the next one, it's a light tone, but
is it though?
There's quite a body count
in there. Yeah.
But there's dark moments, but they're light.
Yeah.
Lighthearted.
They're handled lightheartedly.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders if that's just the time and the way that they wrote because of the time.
Yeah.
And if they had created Batman nowadays, would it just all be dark?
I don't know. Yeah. I can imagine what if Batman was invented in the 90s. He would have been definitely an Image Comics character.
That's what I'm saying. Very edgy, very dark. Because that's what he was anyways when he was created. Very edgy, very dark. Yeah, you want to go over your thoughts?
Outside of the guy getting impaled with his own sword, the weakest issue of this one. And
yep, I would say so.
Yeah. I wasn't too fond of this one, but
there's some cool action in it.
Yeah. Some decent action. It was neat to see the night vision finally happen, and we get to see Batman acting a little bat-like.
Yeah, honestly, that was the most memorable part of the entire issue. When he went in, flipped off the light switch, put on the goggles, and beat them up in the dark, and then flipped the switch on, and he's gone.
Yeah.
It's very cool. But yeah, I agree. There's not a whole lot going on in this issue. It doesn't really add anything to Batman besides the dark fight thing. Yeah, it didn't really move anything forward in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Probably because they knew that they were going to be introducing Robin in the next issue. So
yeah.
Do anything too crazy.
Maybe this is a filler issue, if anything.
The best thing going for this issue is the art. It has really good art, has some really cool fight scenes, but the plot's blah.
Turk. Yeah. All right.
What's the panel you picked?
Oh, so my panel, it's the silliest one. It's not one with Batman in it. It's Bruce Wayne at the grocery store.
Yeah, why did you pick that? I put a little comment down there lol, why this?
He's strategically getting some sugar. He's saying, I'd like a pound of sugar, please. Just a minute and I'll get it for you. I don't know. It's just out of context. It's hilarious.
Why sugar though? You think he picked something that he knows is in the back of the store to get the guy to walk as far away as possible?
Maybe, yeah.
He looks pissed in that.
He does.
His eyebrows are so knitted.
Yeah, I think that's the pipe in his mouth. I just love also Bruce Wayne and his pipe.
Yeah.
smoking it anywhere he goes.
And there's just a stack of cans on the counter.
Yeah.
I wonder what they are.
And what was your favorite panel?
Mine is just this close-up of Batman. It's honestly one of the coolest close-ups of Batman that we've seen so far. I really like the way that his ears are drawn because they look like they have a little fold in them. But it's just a close-up of Batman with a black background. And then he's saying, I'm probably sticking my head out for trouble, but I'm going to find out why someone in that house is screaming his head off. It's just a long run-on sentence, but I love it.
There was another similar one in that issue. I don't have it. I'll just show it to you real quick. But I know I saw a typo in it at one point. Not a typo, but a misspell.
Did you notice his bat symbol has changed subtly over the last couple issues?
Mm.
It's most noticeable in this one. It's no longer this tiny little bat with no ears. It actually has the ears now.
Oh, here's the other one. Okay, I just noticed it's one where the bunch of guys are tied up, and then the guy says, if it wasn't so grateful to you, Mr. Batman, you would be getting what these boys are going to get.
I like to think that that's what he actually says because he just is uneducated.
Maybe, yeah. But I also liked in that panel, your favorite panel, and then there's like this.
I like that one too.
They had to write the dialogue around the word bubble,
Yeah.
around Batman's ears. It's pretty great.
What's he saying in that one? I like that one.
Oh, yeah, this is a wordy one. Okay, let me see if I can get it one take. Of course, they knew too much. They said they would tell a man named Turg that he had been selling information. They probably worked for Turg, and he had to kill them so that Turg wouldn't know. Wonder what that information was.
That's a lot. That's such a mouthful.
That's such a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much that issue.
Yeah. It's funny how there's like issues, like literally just a couple months prior to this, there's issues where he barely says a word. He just jumps through windows and starts beating on people. And now he's monologuing.
I think that might be the Bill Finger influence.
Probably.
Because I remember the Gardner Fox issues, maybe he was quieter.
Yeah, they're more like action adventure focused, I think.
All right. When we get back, we will go on to Detective Comics number 38. And we are back. So now we're on to Detective Comics number 38, and this is a very important issue in the Batman canon.
Mm-hmm.
It is the introduction of Robin the Boy Wonder.
That's actually the name of the issue, too.
Yes.
Robin the Boy Wonder.
Yes, that is the April 1940 issue. Art by Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson. Written by Bill Finger. So, yeah, they gave Batman a sidekick. You know why they gave him a sidekick? Of course.
You want me to elaborate here?
Yeah, elaborate.
Because they wanted to give kids somebody to, like, what's the word?
Project?
To project on themselves onto. Yeah. And I get it, because when I was a little kid, I loved Batman. Like, I was reading Batman comics when I was, like, younger than 10. And I always was like, man, why does Batman have to be a man? I can't be Batman until I'm at least 25. So I, like, didn't want to ever dress up like Batman. Even when my mom made me a Batman costume one year for Halloween, I was like, Mom, I can't be Batman because I'm a kid. I have to be Robin.
See, I was never like that. I was like, I liked Robin. I never disliked him. But whenever they do like the audience kid character and anything else, I was hated them. I was always like, I didn't show up to watch this kid. I wanted to watch like this guy.
I don't think I really appreciated Robin when I was a kid either, but it's because my first introduction to Robin was most likely either Batman the Animated Series or Batman and Robin.
Yeah, they were pretty smart with Batman the Animated Series by just putting him in college so they could just have him part-time there.
Be a little bit older.
Focus on
They did a really
Batman.
good job with him in Batman the Animated Series because he's very mature, but he's still jokes a lot and has
he bounces off Batman pretty well.
Yeah. I think that relationship between the two of them in that cartoon is probably the best that Batman and Robin's relationship has ever been done.
Yeah, we do see the evolution of it, like from them being like chums, and then we get like the more angsty Nightwing, fuck you, Bruce style Teen Titans version. And then I guess they never really repair their relationship. But
I think it's funny how when he's Robin, he's like the contrast to Batman because Batman's so dark and brooding.
Yeah.
Even though he really isn't once Robin's introduced. But then when he becomes Nightwing, he basically becomes Batman. He stops being so happy-go-lucky. He becomes dark and brooding. He starts to wear darker colors, black and blue, like Batman. And he just becomes the person who, at that point, he hates the most.
I do like when this is going to be decades from now within the comics, but when he was Batman, when Bruce died.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's really good.
With him and his Robin being Damian. And I liked that they reversed the relationship where Batman was like the more upbeat, jokey one. And then Damian was like the serious, broody one. It was a good way to flip it.
That's all really good too. I love that. It's like payback for when he was Robin and Bruce was always trying to hold him back.
All right. So let's get into it.
Oh, what about the cover?
Oh, yes, the cover.
Do you want me to describe it?
Yeah, tell me about the cover.
I feel like most people know what this cover is, but it's a really nice, weirdly, it's like a peach colored background.
Yeah.
But like I've seen it done in red too, a really dark red. I think it looks better in red. But this one has a peach background and it's got Batman standing there and he's holding, I don't know what it's supposed to be, like a drum or something.
Like a drum head. I think it's just, I don't know what they call those things, but you see them in parades or like football celebrations where somebody busts through.
Yeah, it's like this big circular object that has like a sheet of paper in it. And he's standing there holding it and he's grinning from ear to ear and Robin's busting through this thing with his cape flying in the air, and then it says, "The sensational character find of 1940, Robin, the boy wonder." It's pretty exciting. But they're both like smiling and excited and happy looking.
Yeah, it's definitely going to, this is the big shift in tone for Batman, where I think it's going to become way more jokey and happier from now on. Batman smiles a lot. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so there's a traveling circus in Gotham, and a young boy named Dick Grayson, part of a family act of trapeze artists called the Flying Graysons, overhears some gangsters trying to squeeze his boss for protection money. So his boss tells them to get out, and then they warn him about an accident. That accident does end up happening the very next night when the ropes break during the trapeze act, and Dick watches his parents fall to their death. A little later, he overhears the gangsters telling his boss that the accident's your fault, you didn't pay up. Dick decides he's going to tell the police, but he's stopped by the Batman. Turns out Bruce Wayne was in the audience this whole time. So Batman tells Dick that it's a bad idea to tell the police, and he's going to help Dick. So they drive to Batman's house. And
why does he tell him not to talk to the police?
Oh, so he tells him not to tell the police because Zuko's got, ears everywhere.
This is the first time that he's actually said that basically the entire government is corrupt because they're under the wing or under the arm of a mob boss.
Yeah.
It puts a lot more context in all the previous issues where Batman is just like beating the crap out of people.
This is one where we get more of a feel for how things operate in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because this still takes place in Manhattan. They have not mentioned Gotham City yet.
But now it's finally starting to feel like a corrupt cesspool.
Definitely that 1930s gangster city.
Yep.
So anyways, they drive over to Batman's house in Batman's car, and Batman's explaining basically that, hey, when I was a kid, my parents were also murdered, and that's why I fight crime, and I'm going to help you avenge your parents' death. And also, yeah, that's when he tells him that Zuko's got the ears all over town and he'll die. Dick Grayson and Batman, they swear an oath. He starts training him to fight crime, and thus Robin, the boy wonder, is born. Months later, Bruce comes up with a plan to move in on Zuko. He has Dick pose as a newsboy, making him a target for Zuko's protection racket. So Dick pays up some of Zuko's kids, like his newsboys, and then he tails them to Zuko's house, see where they're going to. He finds out Zuko's location, and then he goes back to tell Batman where it is. The very next night, Batman goes ham on Zuko's men. He goes to a tailor, a butcher. He breaks down this illegal casino. He hatches up a slot machine that they got at a laundromat.
Yeah, he takes a freaking axe to the thing.
Yeah. That was badass. So Zuko, he's pissed off. Somebody drops a package off at Zuko's house, and Zuko opens up, and this out springs a live bat, and there's a note inside from Batman telling him to get out of town.
Where did he find a live bat?
Yeah, we haven't established a bat cave yet.
Yeah.
He just happens to have found a bat. Maybe he's got a net, and he just caught a bat out. Yeah.
How do you get it in a box?
Or maybe he just bought one. Yes, I need a bat. I can't tell you why.
They should have included that panel where he goes to the exotic pet store. Yes, I would like one bat, please.
Maybe he went back to the grocery store.
Yeah. Do you have any bats?
Yes. Pay no mind to the Batman. I'm just Bruce Wayne. Zuko, he's pissed off, and he tells his men, all right, we're going to go to the Kanan building. And it's this building that's under construction, owned by a guy named Kanan. They don't really elaborate more on that. So anyways, Zuko has one of his guys stand guard like down below, and then they get up on the elevator and they go up, and their plan is to blow the top of the building with dynamite. They're going to plant the dynamite. They're being followed by Robin. So Robin, he takes out the one guard who's keeping watch, and then he makes his way up, and they eventually spot him, and they start shooting at him. Robin, he ducks away, and then he pulls out a sling and a rock, and he even mentions it's just like David and Goliath.
Yep.
He hits one who falls off.
There's no way that guy survived.
No, Robin has a death count in his very first story.
Yeah.
Like none of these.
4 or 5 people.
So he gets the one guy, and then he jumps up, he rappels around, he catches a rope, and he hits another, he hits more people down, and he's chasing Zuko up while fighting men.
Yeah.
And then Robin gets to a point and he slips on one of the girders and he's hanging for his life. And then one of the guys, he like steps on Robin's fingers, try to make it go down. And then Robin, he like reverse flips on the guy,
Yeah.
pushes him down. So that's another guy dead.
I thought that was pretty cool.
But he's still hanging down. Like he's still hanging. He doesn't get up. And then Zuko gets the beat on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then before he can shoot Robin, Batman shows up and he knocks him down, but not off the building.
Yeah.
Um,
He's like standing on this weird
yeah, it's a platform.
Yeah.
So Zuko's down, and the guy next to him, he's running off. Batman catches him with a rope.
Mhm.
It turns out this is the guy that who had sabotaged the Flying Graysons
The acid.
with the acid. Yes. I don't think they like said that at a point,
At
but
the beginning, they said that he used acid on Batman tells Dick.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My reading comprehension must be poor today.
I don't know why I had to use acid on the rope. Why can't you just cut it a little
Well, I think the acid probably makes it harder to see notice than the cut.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe like the acid weakens the fibers. So it like visibly looks the same. And then once, they get the tension, it just snaps. So anyways, Batman is holding the guy. His name is Blade. He's holding Blade over the rope, and he's got a vial of acid. He says, this is a vial of acid, and I'm going to use it on the rope unless you confess to what you did to the Graysons and you name names. So he pulls them up. The guy says, yeah, I'll do it. And he gives him a written confession. And then Zuko's like, you rat. And then he pushes him off of the building. I guess it's not clear because like Batman's holding like the big note, the confession note, but then he says, the evidence is gone when he falls down. But as he's falling down, I love this part. He tells Robin, now Robin. And then he says, take a snap. And then Robin takes a picture of Zuko pushing the guy down. They don't rescue him. They don't try to rescue him.
No,
They take a photo.
yeah.
It's great. And Batman's, yeah, we got photographic evidence of you pushing the guy down to his death. So
I
you're...
like how he says, take a snap. Because when I read that, I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what? Take a snap.
Snap of what?
Yeah, and then a snapshot? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we don't really see a scene of him like bringing the camera.
This is, I don't even know what the word would be for it, but it's almost manslaughter. It's almost premeditated manslaughter because they knew in advance that Zuko would probably kill someone, and they were like, bring a camera, we're going to take a picture.
I wouldn't say it's that, but the thing too is that Dick went off on his own to do this on his own without Batman. So
Yeah.
how'd they coordinate this whole,
I don't know.
this take a picture scheme? Because they weren't planning on Zuko pushing the guy off. Like they had the confession.
They must have been planning on something. Otherwise, why would they have brought a camera along?
Regardless, it's a weird sequence and great.
Yeah.
I loved it. They take Zuko's found guilty. He goes to prison. And with Robin's parents avenged, Bruce asks him if he's going to return to the circus. And then Robin says, no, I'm going to stay and fight crime. The end.
Here's what I'm wondering. In that photo that they give to the police, is Batman in it? Photobombing it?
Maybe he's not in the photo. No, they never show the photo.
There'd be no way for them to tell unless they loved it.
Even then, like, it's going to be far away and they won't even recognize, like, they don't know who Batman is just by looking at him often. So
Yeah.
it's nighttime. So how good can the photo be? There was no flash.
I like to think that there's some photos of Batman out there and they're very like obscured and foggy and shady.
Yeah.
Have you seen the covers to the old 1940s serials? They're really cool. They're like pictures of Batman obscured by fog, like a little bit blurry.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen them.
They look like tabloid covers or something. They're really awesome.
So what are your thoughts on the issue?
Okay, so first of all, it says Batman on the cover, not the Batman. That little like circle that appears on all the covers has said the Batman until this issue. So that's cool. He's now officially Batman.
It might be more mouthful to say the Batman and Robin.
Yeah. They finally got his gloves right in this one. So he's got the scallops coming off his arm, which means that he finally has all of the iconic elements of the Batsuit together for the first time in one issue. So this is the most complete Batman we've seen so far. I like that he doesn't waste any time at all. Like we're not reading All-Star Batman or Robin. He's not going to lock him in the Batcave for weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
Right away, he's just, hey, I recognize that you went through something similar to what I went through, so I'm going to teach you everything that I know, and I'm going to make you my protege.
Yeah.
Right away.
Speaking of All-Star Batman and Robin, though, there was totally... This had the inspiration for that sequence where he's in the...
where they're in the car together?
When they're car together.
I totally noticed that, and
yeah,
it's done better in this one, but I still like All-Star Batman and Robin. It does a lot of things
it's a guilty pleasure.
that tickle my fancy. Yeah, it's definitely a guilty pleasure. And then I like how Bruce actually admits that Dick could teach him a thing or two.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, because it doesn't seem like Batman, like, went to acrobatic school, and so that's definitely a niche that Robin fills that Batman doesn't have. So yeah, he learns from him.
Well, the first Batman comics that I ever read were Batman comics from the 80s. And in the 80s, he was drawn very long and lean and really tall. And it would always show him doing workouts with the top half of his Batsuit off, where he'd just have like tights on and the underwear.
Yeah.
And then he'd be doing acrobatic stuff. So my first impressions of Bruce Wayne and the way that he trained wasn't him like lifting weights. It was him doing acrobatic stuff with rings to build up upper body strength.
Yeah.
And if that's in canon with these original issues, which I'm assuming it is, then he learned a lot of that type of stuff from Dick. I also think Robin's pretty aggressive and violent in this issue.
A lot of times you'll see Batman basically having like hold Robin back. And this is like, hey, why didn't you tell me? I would have joined in on the fun.
Yeah, Robin's like kicking people off the scaffolding, and Batman's like, whatever.
And I think that ties into one of my thoughts, is that this is, at this point, it doesn't feel like a father-son relationship.
It's brothers. I prefer brothers, Batman and Robin, to father and son, because I feel like that's the difference between Dick and Bruce and Jason and Tim and Bruce. You have the brothers, and then after Dick goes away and Jason comes in, you have the father and son. And after he goes away and you get Tim come in, you have the protege.
Yeah.
Who he's actually grooming to replace him.
Yeah.
You know? So I like that they all have like a different personality. Boss Zuko is a complete idiot. Like the way that they write him, he just says the same stuff over and over again.
Batman sends him the thing, get out of town. And the first thing he does, like, just ignores it.
Don't like Boss Zuko, but he's not around for that long. I also thought it was really cool that just like how Bruce goes undercover in these early Batman comics a lot, he has Dick go undercover like right away. He's not, hey, put on your Robin suit and go out there and kick some ass. He's, before you do anything, I'm going to have you go undercover, figure out what's going on, scope out the situation, and then you can go back in as Robin.
Yeah, and even like Zuko's, my newsboys are small time, so it's like perfect thing for Dick to just infiltrate, just get in something small.
Yeah, they're small time, but they're still a-holes.
Yeah.
Man, I really hate them. And then the last thing that I noticed about this issue is that Batman has, it's almost like a super strength or something in this issue. The scene where he busts into the gambling den and he just picks up the table and throws it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that Batman Venom miniseries where he picks up a refrigerator and chucks it through a brick wall. Like, he's so strong in this issue. It's crazy.
That ties into what one of my thoughts on this was, that it really reminded me of Batman Year One, where Batman, he goes to that dinner with just him just going on a tear, just going everywhere, taking it out like systematically.
Yeah, he's basically just, I'm not afraid of you guys. You should be afraid of me.
Yeah, at this point, like, he's not even doing detective work. He knows where to go and he strikes it.
Yeah, it's intimidation work.
Yeah. He's basically using the mob's tactics against them, which is really cool.
That is really cool. It's a very good issue.
Strike them where it hurts.
I say it's probably the best, most solid Batman issue so far. And it feels the most like a Batman comic book.
Yeah.
Like, at least when I say like a Batman comic book, I mean the way people assume Batman is.
Yeah, the things that are written today, like, this issue could have happened today. And even Dick's origin, like Robin's origin, I was shocked to see just how, when they redo it, it's still pretty much the same.
It's very similar.
Like some of the details are different. The personality is a bit different.
I think the biggest difference is just that
beat
Bruce
for
is
beat.
holding him back.
Yeah, beat for beat, it's the same thing. It's very, they keep it very faithful.
Did you ever read Robin Year 1, Robin Year 2, Robin Year 3?
I never read those, no.
You should, because they are really good. Because they detail his origin, but instead of it being like 6 pages, it's 60 pages. They go way more in depth. Very good. Highly recommend it. What's the panel that you picked for this one?
So the panel I picked for this one, there were a few I really wanted to do.
Same. To decide.
This one I decided it's got to be a Robin panel. And it's the one where he's swinging on the rope hook thing.
A sweeping swing.
Yes.
Like a hook from a crane or something.
Yeah. And it just reminded me, it's basically, it could have been a Batman.
It's definitely, it's a creation of one of the early Batman from the first issue.
But he's using what he's learned.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah. I almost picked that one too, because I immediately saw that and I was like, oh, that is a straight up Batman shot from Detective 27. But I decided to go with the one where he busts into the gambling den. It's just such a cool shot because, like, you can feel like you're in that moment because all these people, all these rich people are hanging out and gambling at this table, enjoying their lives. And then he just full on just bursts through this window. There's shattered glass flying everywhere.
Yeah, I can hear the glass in my head.
Yeah. And then they're all just like, what? And they turn around to look and see this guy busting through this window. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah, just busted in and he's going to tear up the place. Any final thoughts?
No, as much as I love the monk, I think I'm just biased towards liking the monk because he's like a monster villain. And as much as I like Hugo Strange, I think this is the best issue so far that we've read. There's been cool things sprinkled throughout some of the issues, but this one was solid all the way through from beginning to end.
Oh, one thing we forgot to mention in issue 37, they might have gone a little bit out of order when they published, but there was after the end, there was a tease that said Batman fighting a monster people or something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was supposed to be Detective 38, but we got the Robin issue. So that will be coming into play pretty soon.
Next episode.
No, not next episode, but no, because the way we're doing it, it'll be one issue, one story from Batman #1.
Oh, yeah. Not doing the entire issue of Batman #1.
Yeah, we'll reiterate next time how we're going to do it, but from now on, this will be the last one with 3 issues.
Yeah.
3 stories, because we're not even doing the whole issues of Detective Comics. There's still the backup features.
Those are on the scans online.
They are. Maybe we'll get into them, but it's too much.
I don't care all that much.
But yeah, from now on, this is the last one with only Detective Comics.
Yeah.
Next episode will be what we plan on just being the regular episodes. It'll be shorter. 1 issue of Detective and 1 story of Batman. The first, I don't know how long, maybe a year, 2 years in the Golden Age. The soloed Batman issues, they were quarterly rather than monthly.
Yeah, they're very long. It would take a whole episode of the podcast just to go over Batman 1.
Yeah, so we're just going to do 1 story from that, but it's going to be a great one.
I'm really excited. I love that first issue of Batman. There's so many cool things in it. And I think even though this one was like a perfect Batman issue, that is the perfect Batman issue right there.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Till later.
Bye-bye.